Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachaри. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radha Kalachanji Radha Kalachanji Radhe. Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe. Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for joining daily Bhagavatam class. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Let's chant this together. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. Nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuddha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhayeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatatyesha Tarine. So we are continuing reading from Canto 10 and Chapter 10, Deliverance of Nalakuver and Manigrief. So, again, so fortunate that together we are all reading Canto 10, which is recited by, Shukadeva Goswami. I was just wondering if anybody noticed there is a manifestation of Shukadeva Goswami on the altar. Who's Shukadeva Goswami in Shuka? parrot, right? So did anybody notice a parrot today also? We had a parrot. Um, Drishta Prabhu made a very nice parrot, and Chota Radharani, the small Radharani, on right side of big Kalachanji, the small deities, Radharani is holding in her left hand. So I was just thinking about this pastime where it is said that Radharani gives pomegranate she feeds pomegranate to Shukdev Goswami, like Shuka. And whenever he chants the name of Krishna or he, pleases Radharani, she will take out one pomegranate seed and put in the mouth of Shuka. So that Shuka comes in, appears here and gives the Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's directly coming from Radharani's mood and love that we get to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and amazing pastimes via Shukdev Goswami. So Shukdev Goswami ki jai. So we read about the sweetest pastimes. Krishna is crawling. Krishna is now started running, actually. That's why Mother Yashoda was catching him. And the wonderful thing is that there are 2 trees who are watching all the pastimes of Krishna in the courtyard of Mother Yashoda and Nand Maharaj. How lucky, how fortunate. I mean, they were cursed, by the great sage Narad Muni. And we see how much compassion is there within the heart of a Vaishnava, that even when they see that somebody is living in ignorance, complete ignorance, these 2 personalities were intoxicated with power, alcohol, and they just did not respect even Narad Muni when he came to, when he was crossing by. And like mad elephants, they were enjoying in the river. And the Madira, like the alcohol they're having, is called Madhavi and Varuni. That's what's mentioned in Bhagavatam. And seeing that, like usually a Vaishnava, if we see somebody did not greet us and is being offensive, we'll feel very angry. But the anger or the correction that Narad Muni felt like he did was giving mercy to them. Imagine they had no austerity, or I don't know, I've somewhere heard, but I'm forgetting what was their past karma, that they got such a boon that they could face to face see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I mean, entering Vrindavan Dham is a very difficult thing. I mean, getting entry into Sri Vrindavan Dham is not easy. But these 2 trees took birth there. They were watching the pastimes of baby Krishna. And imagine how much would we crave to witness with our eyes Krishna crawling, baby Krishna stealing butter, lying to his mother, running around. We heard how he's pulling the tails of the calves, like all of that they are watching. And so this is where we are. We are going to read from text 13 through 23 and focus on text 15 today. So we can start reading the translations, please.
Atheistic fools and rascals who are very much proud of wealth fail to see things as they are. Therefore, returning them to poverty is the proper ointment for their eyes, so they may see things as they are. At least a poverty-stricken man can realize how painful poverty is, and therefore he will not want others to be in a painful condition like his own.
So what's pointed out in the next few verses, from this verse onwards, is that when one has too much wealth or too much material opulences, it is our nature. Like, we will definitely live a life of ignorance. Like, generally in the material world, if you have too much power or opulence, it's just natural for us to slip in enjoying in the mode of ignorance. And Narad Muni also says that among all the attractions, let's say having beauty or born in a very nice aristocratic family, the highest, what blinds us is the highest in hierarchy among all these is having riches, having wealth. You will see that somebody who has a lot of wealth may not have a very nice appearance, attraction, or may not uh, born in a very like a Brahminical family or high caste family, but just having that wealth, that person is so easily swayed by the having too much wealth that they will not really listen to any kind of preaching, or they will not be inclined towards any if saints are coming welcoming them. Of course, this is a generic thing that I'm saying, what's mentioned, that is very easily we fall in the trap of being puffed up when we have too much wealth. And then what are the things that usually people engage in? That's wine. Like when you have a lot of money, there's wine, women, and gambling. That's what is mentioned further. Wine, women, and gambling. And also the other thing is that I think yesterday also we read in the purpose, Mataji had covered, that we also engage in killing of animals without mercy. So you see all these four things: wine, women, gambling, meat eating. All of these are our four regulative principles. So because they said that Kali resides here in this, and gold, I think that's what's mentioned. So Srila Prabhupada said these four regulative principles as basics for us to at least come to the level of sober human being, not even Vaishnava. It's just coming to a level of living like a person, or living like a civilized human being. But when one has too much wealth, it's very easy to fall in the trap of intoxication and gambling. So that's what's mentioned. We can go ahead. Text 14.
By seeing their faces, one whose body has been pricked by pins can understand the pain of others who are pin-pricked. Realizing that this pain is the same for everyone, he does not want others to suffer in this way. But one who has never been pricked by pins cannot understand this pain.
So such a nice point has come that it's very easy for us to there's actually in this purport only, Prabhupada says that a woman who has not given birth to a child cannot understand the pain of childbirth. Unless one experiences something, we are not able to understand, what it feels like. So somebody this is what mentioned in text 14, right? That somebody who is pricked with pins, or somebody who has suffered, will understand the pain of suffering, right? That's what we say. We've often heard in psychology, we say that no matter what kind of trauma you have gone through, or what kind of upbringing or family situation you have been in, make sure that you're not passing it on to your further generation. You can end the trauma there. And we often see that people who are empathetic or develop the emotional maturity usually have gone through some kind of difficult hardships in their life. Usually, it's not easy to become empathetic. The reason that quality is cultivated, that you become compassionate, is when you have suffered you have seen some kind of suffering in your life. And that's why we say you have to go through it to grow through it, right? That's what we often say. Like, sometimes you just have to go through it. Even as devotees, we often complain that, okay, maybe we don't complain because we're often told, but we still think that, okay, now I'm into devotion. Why am I still suffering? Why is my mind still wandering over petty things? I've been told we should not do gossiping or criticize, but still, why am I engaging in that? Or why others are doing and it's bothering me? So sometimes we are put in situations, sometimes through our own thinking and through external circumstances, and we go through it. It's important. Krishna actually gives us those battles that, he knows we can fight and we can come out of by seeking association of devotees and by taking shelter of scriptures. That's very important. So um, in this purport, it says the laws of nature act accordingly. If one has killed an animal, one must himself be killed by that same animal. We've often heard, right, that when the slaughtering of goat, I think in Muslim community is done, they say something in the ear before, they halal, they butcher the animal. This is what they say, that right now I am killing you and causing you pain, but in next life, you're going to be doing that to me. I don't know if they actually understand what they're saying, but this is so direct. They're actually, they're saying right now I'm causing pain to you, and in next life you will take my life. This is called mamasa. Ma means me and sa means he. As I'm eating an animal, that animal will have the opportunity to eat me. So it's so directly put out there. Text 15.
A poverty-stricken man must automatically undergo austerities and penances.
Maji, can you be louder, please? Just louder.
Okay. A poverty-stricken man must automatically undergo austerities and penances because he does not have the wealth to possess anything. Thus, his false prestige is vanished. Always in need of food, shelter, and clothing, he must be satisfied with what is obtained by the mercy of providence. Undergoing such a compulsory austerities is good for him because this purifies him and completely frees him from false ego.
So, when actually riches are taken away, when wealth is taken away, or some kind of material opulence is taken away from us, one is, easily humbled. We can probably say from our own experience or from people we've known that when something very close to us is taken away, I'm talking about material opulence, we easily get humbled. We start having questions. We see that now, because when you have something, you're so busy enjoying it that you don't question, anything about nature of life or how did it even come to me, and now I've lost it. All of this is done when something is taken away. And so why are we talking about this? Because Narad Muni, what he did was, he didn't just by mercy, he did have mercy, but he did not just say, okay, now just, you get darshan of the Lord and then you can be, blessed. But he wanted them to go through, like they took birth in the bodies of trees. Because they were naked that time, so that you like to be naked, you take birth in a body of a tree. And they want for hundreds, I think it's mentioned, in demigod years, thousands of demigod years, you will stay like that, and then Krishna will appear in Vrindavan and he will free you. But he wanted them to suffer. He wanted them to suffer, meaning that he wanted them to realize where they were and why all of that got taken away from them, and be in a body which they deserved but they didn't desire, right? So there are a lot of times we are in a situation we deserve but we don't desire it, right? We are put in situations where I never wished for it. Nobody wishes for obstacles. Nobody wishes for a bad time. But because karma wise we created that for us, so we deserve it, and that's why we are put in that situation. So that suffering is what, like I was saying, when you go through suffering, you become recipient of receiving, becoming compassionate. But that's not necessary. Sometimes both things are important, suffering and mercy of a devotee. Because if you see, there are sometimes people are suffering a lot and they will become atheistic. They'll be like, okay, what is the point of life? I have seen so many troubles, and I'm just unfortunate. If God was there, he would have had some mercy upon me, etc., etc. People have that kind of mindset. And so just suffering is not enough. They did also get the mercy of Narad Muni. Both of that got them the mercy of Krishna. followed by Krishna. So you see, you don't get mercy of the Lord, Supreme Lord, directly. Like today I do years of devotion service and I get mercy of the Lord. Of course I will, but first I need mercy of Vaishnavas. I got the mercy of Vaishnava, then only I am in Krishna consciousness, right? We are all in bhakti because we got mercy of pure devotees. We have mercy of our spiritual masters, we have mercy of Srila Prabhupada, and then is followed the mercy of the Lord. So, so in text 15, it's mentioned that when this wealth is taken away and one becomes poverty-stricken, one becomes easily humbled, and senses are also automatically pacified. Why? Because now you're not focusing on want, you're focusing on the need, basic need, right? You're focusing on the basic need of the body, of the mind, of food, shelter, clothing. You're focusing on that. But when you have so much wealth, you go beyond the need, so much beyond that. Every time your mind is triggering you, I want this, now I want this, now I want better house, I want a 5-bedroom house, I have this, now I want a villa, I want a penthouse, etc., etc. I have clothes, but now I want branded clothes. But somebody who is poverty stricken would be easily pacified if that person at least gets food to eat 3 times a day. We'll be very happy, very grateful. So we'll go to text 16.
Always hungry, longing for sufficient food, a poverty-stricken man gradually becomes weaker and weaker. Having no extra potency, his senses are automatically pacified. A poverty-stricken man, therefore, is unable to perform harmful, envious activities. In other words, such a man automatically gains the results of the austerities and penances adopted voluntarily by saintly persons.
Yeah, so in the poverty-stricken phase, at an individual level, the sense of proprietorship is lost. That's what's happening, right? Why the ego comes down or why you're humbled is, I have nothing to own. I don't have much to, gloat about that. Oh, I have this, I have that, I have so many dollars in my bank account, I have so many properties where I get rent from, blah, blah, blah. There's not much. So there is very less, reduced sense of proprietorship. Of course, being in material world, the proprietorship of body is always there, right? Sense of this body belongs to me and all of that. But there's not much that one actually owns. So they're actually living a life of austerity, which is compared to a life of a saint. A saint voluntarily lives a life of austerity. So the comparison, the contrast that's being made is that a sage would voluntarily eat less, like atyahara prayasishta, like he will eat less, he will try to eat less. We're all trying, getting so much mercy of Mahaprasad in Kalachanji Dham, it's very less difficult to have austerity of food, but devotees usually try to have a very sattvic lifestyle, and that naturally it comes into living a life of austerity. That is what the contrast is being made. But this a sage does it voluntarily by their own will. And somebody who is poverty stricken would be forced to be in that kind of situation. So, but right now also in the purport it's mentioned that the modern civilization is so misguided, it is so misled that for us the definition of success or advancement is completely opposite. It usually means like I need to have a branded collection of cars or clothes, I need to be wealthy, and that will make me elite. Like I'm the educated, the elite class of the society, or probably going to salons or getting nail extensions or whatever, that will make me look more attractive. That will make me look more desirable. Having meat or drinking alcohol, doing drugs will make me look more cool. That's what in youth, at least this is the kind of mentality that's there, that this will make me look more cool among my college friends, among everybody. And of course it goes on and on. So many things people do, thinking that this will be a sign of advancement in human society. So the entire mentality is of like showing off, right? And that's why we are talking about this big contrast of poverty stricken. Now, poverty stricken doesn't mean literally what we are talking about. You're stuck with poverty, there's no money at all. But think of it in normal terms, that you are not, and you're not giving yourself entitlement to the things that you own, right? We'll talk about that part. We'll finish the translations, then we'll come back to this. Text 17.
Saintly persons may freely associate with those who are poverty-stricken, but not with those who are rich. A poverty-stricken man, by association with saintly persons, very soon becomes uninterested in material desires, and the dirty things within the core of his heart are cleansed away.
Can you also read the purport, please, Prabhuji, for text 17?
It is said, Mahadvichalam Nrinam Grihinam Dina Chetasa, Bhagavatam 10.8.4, the only business of a saintly person or sannyasi, a person in the renounced order, is to preach Krishna consciousness. Sadhu saintly persons want to preach to both poor and rich, but the poor take more advantage of the sadhu's preaching than the rich do. A poor man receives sadhus very quickly, offers them obeisances, and tries to take advantage of their presence, whereas a rich man keeps a big greyhound dog at his door so that no one can enter his house. He posts a sign saying, "Beware of a dog," and avoids the association of saintly persons, whereas a poor man keeps his door open for them and thus benefits by their association more than a rich man does. Because Narada Muni in his previous life was poverty-stricken son of a maid servant, he got the association of saintly persons and later became the exalted Narada Muni. This was his actual experience. Therefore, he is now comparing the position of a poor man with that of a rich man. Satam prasangam mama virya samvido bhavanti hritkana rasayana katha tajoshanadashva pavargavatmani shraddharate bhaktiranukrimashati. Bhagavatam 3.25.25. If one gets the advantage of association with saintly persons by their instruction, one becomes more and more purified of material desire. Krishna bahirmukahaya bhoga vanchakare nikatastha maya tare japatiya dhare prema vivarta. Material life means that one forgets Krishna and that one increases in one's desires for sense gratification. But if one receives the advantage of instruction from saintly persons and forgets the importance of material desire, one is automatically purified. Cheto darpana marjanam bhavamaha davagni nirvarpanam. Shikshashtakam 1. Unless the core of a materialistic person's heart is purified, he cannot get rid of the pangs of bhavamaha davagni, the blazing fire of material existence.
So this is such a nice purport. Srila Prabhupada explains it so wonderfully that I mean, this beware of dog signs we see everywhere in next to our house, all the streets of America, even in India. It's so common now. So what the point was that a poverty-stricken man is more welcoming to saints. Their house is always open. You know, if you've actually been to Vrindavan, even today, if you go and you go to any house, usually they don't lock their houses. And if you go to their house and say, "I'm hungry," they will invite you nicely. They will feed you. You know, you go to a Brajvasi house, this is how they will treat you. And actually, a lot of villages in India, if you visit, you know, they will be more welcoming to you. Their houses will be open. So how is it that it's such a contradiction that they have bigger hearts than they have small pockets but big hearts? And on the contrary, rich people have big pockets, right? and they probably can sponsor you for your whole lifetime, your food, everything, but still not like when you're around their house. They have their guards up, right? Dogs up, guards up, everything they'll have. What a big contradiction, right? That this is so common. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not want to associate with King Pratap Rudra until he saw he had exemplary devotion, right? So usually, saintly people avoid, like, there are 2 points what I'm making here is saintly people actually have no purpose that they have to, for them rich and poor both are equal. Their only purpose is going and preaching Krishna consciousness. But they also know somebody who's more poverty stricken, comes from a humble background, is easily drawn towards saintly people. That's what we see. And because they're simple people, they don't have much to protect. They're easier to preach, and like it's very simple. And then Narad Muni's example is given here. In previous life, Narad Muni was the son of a maidservant, and he got association of sages, saintly people. And then he, next life he became the great exalted Narad Muni. So many points are coming here, right? He has been through that suffering. He knows the compassion. He built that compassion. But moreover that, he also got the mercy of devotees. Even Ajamil's story, right? The 10th son was named Narayan only by the mercy of saintly people who once came to their house and they fed them. But it's like I said in the beginning, that suffering we have to go through, that to build that compassion for others. When we suffer, then we realize, oh, in this world actually everybody is suffering. Everybody, mentally, emotionally, financially, physically, some aspect they are suffering. So it automatically, as devotees, when we are a Vaishnava, that compassion is inculcated, because we realize we also receive this mercy through someone. Narad Muni received that mercy. Now he's passing it on. He's actually passing it on to so many of his disciples, so many people. Everywhere he wanders, just to give Hari Katha, just to distribute mercy. So, okay, we can move on to the next verse, 18th.
Saintly persons, sadhus, think of Krishna 24 hours a day. They have no other interest. Why should people neglect the association of such exalted spiritual personalities and try to associate with materialists, taking shelter of non-devotees, most of whom are proud and rich?
So the qualities of a sadhu are so nicely mentioned here. I mean, we should read them thinking one day we should get these qualities. I mean, start desiring to cultivate those. Saintly persons think of Krishna 24 hours a day. Like Prabhupada says, always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. They have no other interest. The symptom of a sadhu is that he is tolerant, merciful, and friendly to all living entities. It's hard for us to be merciful and tolerant to our friends and family all the time, but we have to extend that mercy to all the living entities. One has no enemies, is peaceful, abides by the scriptures. All his characteristics are sublime. Now imagine if you know such a person, such a wonderful person who has all these qualities, would you not want to associate with that person? We would love to associate with such a person who has all these qualities, because by association, even maybe some of the qualities we can aspire, but more than that, we'll know that this person will give me Krishna. This person will bring me closer to Krishna. But rich people do not even seek advantage of such association. They will only associate with people who also are rich like them. They will go to the parties that they are invited, which has similar kind of people, but they will not want to associate with such sadhus. Next.
Therefore, Since these two persons, drunk with the liquor named Varuni or Madhvi, and unable to control their senses, have been blinded by the pride of celestial opulence, and have become attached to women, I shall relieve them of their false prestige.
Next.
These two young men, Nakha Votra and Managava, are fortunate sons of two demigods named Kurvera. Because of the false prejudice and madness, drinking liquor, they so fallen they are naked. They cannot understand what they are. Therefore, because the living entities like trees are naked, but not consocial. But these two young men should receive bodies of trees. There be proper punishment. Nonetheless, they become trees until they release by the mercy. They will have remembered their past sinful activities. Moreover, the special flavor after they spend 100 years the measurement of demigods, they will be able to see the personality of Godhead. The face to face reveal their real position in as devotees.
Thank you. Next one, last words. Translation.
Want me to read?
Sure, go ahead. We can give it to Prabhu.
Thank you. 623. Shukadeva Goswami continued, having thus spoken, the great saint Devarshi Narada returned to his ashram known as Narayana Ashram, and Nalakuvera and Manigriva became twin Arjuna trees.
Okay. So we'll go to text 15 and quickly read the verse for today. Daridro niraham stambho muktah sarvamadeiriha krichram yadrachyapnoti tadhi tasya param tapaha. Please recite. Daridro niraham stambho mukta sarva madeiriha krichram yadracha apnoti tadhi tasya param tapaha. Daridro niraham stambho Mukta sarva madair iha Krichram yadracha apnoti Tadhitasya param tapaha Daridro niraham stambho Sarva madairiha Krichram yadracha apnoti Tadhitasya param tapaha. Thank you. We can read the word-to-word translation. There's also one word that will come. You'll see stamba. Stamba. Where is this word that usually comes? Yeah, in Narshing, appearance of Narshing Dev. So there are two meanings of stamba. Stamba means, like Mataji said, pillar. Narshing Dev destroyed the pillar and appeared out of it. But stamba also means false prestige. So it is said that Narshing Dev destroyed the false prestige of Hiranyakashipu. That's what it's mentioned in our scriptures. So we can read the translation together. Daridraha, a poverty-stricken person. Niraham stamba is automatically freed from all false prestige. Muktaha, liberated. Sarva, all. Madai, from false ego. Iha, in this world. Krichram, with great difficulty. Radyachayapnoti, what he gains by chance from providence. Tat, that, he indeed. Tasya, his. Param, perfect. Tapaha, austerity. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A poverty-stricken man must automatically undergo austerities and penances because he does not have the wealth to possess anything. Thus, his false prestige is vanquished. Always in need of food, shelter, and clothing, he must be satisfied with what is obtained by the mercy of providence. Undergoing such compulsory austerities is good for him because this purifies him and completely frees from false ego. Purport. A saintly person voluntarily accepts a state of poverty just to become free from material false prestige. Many great kings left their princely standard of living and went to the forest to practice austerity according to Vedic culture, just to become purified. But if one who cannot voluntarily accept such austerity is put into a situation of poverty, he automatically must practice austerity. Austerity is good for everyone because it frees one from material conditions. Therefore, if one is very much proud of his material position, putting him into poverty is the best way to rectify his foolishness. Daridra dosho guna rashi nashi. When a person is poverty-stricken, naturally his false pride is in aristocracy, wealth, education, and beauty is smashed. Thus corrected, he is in the right position for liberation. So, it's mentioned how a saintly person would voluntarily choose a life of austerity. Now the question arises, should we leave all our riches? Should we leave everything that we possess so that we can become saintly? Let's all do that, no? No. The aim is not, again we have to understand, the aim is not to become poverty stricken. The aim is to become detached with the wealth we possess. It's very hard. It's very easy to say. It's very hard till the last breath. We are always in the mood of entitlement, proprietorship. It's quite hard. But there's one more thing that, Rupa Goswami says, that if one renounces anything which could be applied in the service of the Lord and does not use it for that purpose, that is called Falgu Vairagya. So we don't have to do false or fake renunciation. If we know that something can be used in the service of Krishna, that is the best renunciation. We use it in service of the Lord. So, because wealth / Lakshmi belongs to whom? Narayan, Krishna, right? What is the meaning of Madhav? We've heard in Bhagavad Gita chapter 1, I think, right? The meaning of Madhav, yes. Yes, Jaishnav is right. It's the husband of the goddess of fortune. So when Lakshmi, used in the service of Krishna, in the service of Madhav, in the service of a husband, it blesses you. It flourishes. And that is what our duty must be. But when we are using Lakshmi against Krishna, for our own sense gratification and other purposes that do not fulfill preaching or serving the Lord, then it's destroyed. Then we are forcefully put into a situation of being poverty stricken. So we don't have to adapt to false renunciation, that's Falgu Vairagya, but instead use everything that we have received from the Lord in the service of the Lord. That's as simple. In Hindi, in India, when we preach, we say this ki, I'll translate in English also, कि कुछ छोड़ना नहीं है, सब कुछ कृष्ण से जोड़ना है, which means you don't have to leave things, you have to combine it with the Lord. I mean, you have to connect it with the Lord. When you connect everything that you have, your kids, your family, your talent, when you connect it, when you combine it with Krishna, that becomes amazing. That becomes an offering to the Lord, and Krishna accepts that. That's why we say, right? A lot of times, I earlier people used to say, oh, you're a student, see, you don't have to leave your education. You don't have to leave your job to practice Krishna consciousness. But whatever you're doing it for Krishna. And then people used to ask, how does 9 to 5 job I'm doing for Krishna? Like, how does it make sense? But of course, there is, you think like that, like in between that job, let's say, set a timer that after every 1 hour, there's an alarm ringing and you're thinking of Krishna, some reminder. That way, the time that you're giving in the job, even 2 minutes you're taking out, you're thinking of Krishna. Maybe you take whatever food you take, sometimes is offered to Krishna, sometimes you give it to your colleagues. Whatever result, the Lakshmi, the money that you're getting out of that job, some percentage of that you use in the service of the Lord. So there are so many things you can do, It's just changing the consciousness, being Krishna conscious. So, before we wrap up, a few more points I'll make. So Narad Muni did this, that he said that because they do not realize, they're so unconscious right now, the sons of Kuvera, Nal Kuvera and Manigri were so intoxicated that they don't even realize that they're standing naked right now. So, okay, you curse them that you become trees. But they became trees in the most exalted place, in the most spiritual place they could ever get, right? And Krishna fulfilled the words of his devotees after that. How many times have we seen that Krishna has fulfilled the words of his devotees, forgotten his own promise, forgotten his own words, but protected the words of his devotee? So many times, right? When Bhishma Dev attacked, Krishna said, I will not lift a single weapon in the war. But he lifted a whole wheel. Imagine how angry he was. That was a sweet pastime. That was just an exchange of love between Bhishma Dev and Krishna. And of course Arjun, because he wanted to protect Arjun. But Bhishma Dev wanted the act, the rasa. We call chivalry, right? The Veer Ras that he wanted to experience, and that's why Krishna lifted that as a Kshatriya. Bhishma Dev wanted a Kshatriya to Kshatriya rasa with Krishna. That's what Krishna did for him. He forgot his own words and fulfilled the desire of Bhishma Dev, right? Even it's so funny that he says, right? Kaunteya pratigyanihi name bhaktya pranashyati. Which means Krishna says, my devotee will never perish. But first he says, oh Arjun, please declare. Boldly. Like he said, maybe I will make a promise, but I might break my own promise. But Arjun, you declare boldly, because if you declare that, I will never break that. So Krishna says, you declare boldly that my devotee will never perish. How much emotion is there in this one text, right? Because if you are declaring it, I am going to stand by it. I am going to fulfill it, that I will always and always protect my devotee. That is Krishna's heart. So, again, for us, the takeaway should be that, like Narad Muni, we need to learn how we need to be a good Vaishnava by being merciful. If reprimanding someone, we should understand, you're correcting someone as a devotee or you're reprimanding. But if that reprimanding is bringing someone closer to Krishna, that's okay. And of course, if you have the authority, you have a relationship with that person. But if you're scolding someone so much that they are going away from devotees, they're going away from Krishna consciousness, they've stopped coming for darshan, then that's the biggest offense that we can do. Right? So we have to understand that this is as a Vaishnava, we have very big responsibilities, how we deal with devotees. And secondly, using our wealth or anything that we possess that is given by Krishna in the service of Krishna. Like you see Amrish Maharaj, he was such a big emperor, right? He was such a powerful emperor. But he never had the entitlement or the proprietorship attitude, right? He was just surrendered to the Lord. Even when the whole incident with Durvasa Muni happened, he didn't say anything. He had such a humble mindset that it's okay. Whatever is the will of the Lord, whatever I get by providence, I accept it. That was his attitude. I'm remembering one last thing I'll say, and then we can wrap up. Sudama, when he went to meet Krishna, I heard this years ago. So I'm sharing the reference so that I've heard it from. It's authentic. I heard it from I think who's from Mumbai. That Prabhuji. I forgot Gopal Prabhu. I forgot the name. Gaur Gopal Prabhu. Yes, thank you. He had the lecture titled Poverty, and it was about Sudama and Krishna, the exchange between Sudama and Krishna. And then we all know those stories, so I'm not going to go in detail, but yes, Sudama went, he took the the rice, and then he didn't want to give it to Krishna, but Krishna understood the mood, he took it. And Sudama never ended up sharing that the reason he's here is to seek help. But he was just so happy to see Krishna that he was just satisfied. He was like, I don't need anything. But when he went back, of course, there was a big palace. Krishna understood the needs of the family, and Sudama was so poverty-stricken that they didn't even have food to eat. So he built a big palace for them, and Krishna took the poverty away from Sudama. That could have made him puffed up. Sometimes it's not just the rich or the wealth that can make us puffed up, right? We can become puffed up even if we are attached to the, oh, I do such nice, wonderful service. I cook better than devotees. I dress better than other devotees. I sing better than other devotees. I can become so, even though we think, oh, it's a service, I'm attached to my service. But it should not be at a cost that we are becoming puffed up. Yes, we become happy. So that happiness should be channelized into being grateful towards Krishna. That thank you, Krishna. I again got the opportunity to do this for you today. So he took poverty away from Sudama. Even one of the, there were, I think, under His Holiness Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the disciples were complaining about, one of the disciples used to sleep on the floor, and the other disciples used to sleep on mattresses, and both parties were puffed up that the other one was like, see, I'm sleeping on such a hard floor. This is good for bhakti. I'm so renowned, so austere. And the other people were also, they were not liking that attitude. And so the spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, said that now you start sleeping on the mattress, and people who are sleeping on the mattress will sleep on the hard floor. Taking both attachments from both people. One was so attached to the austerity that the Guru took that away also. That for him the punishment was comfort. So you know what I'm getting at? The point is that we don't even have to be attached to the austerities that we are performing in Krishna consciousness. Oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. We might not tell it to others, but within our mind also sometimes that thought arises, wow, attending Mangalarti 1 year, no break. Every day I'm coming, or Kartik, I'm doing this. It's great. As a motivation, if we are, thinking about it, that's great. But we have to be very careful that it should not make us puffed up. Because Krishna does not like, one thing that Krishna does not like is pride. Imagine he took that away from even his dearmost devotees, the topmost devotees, gopis. When the Ras Leela was happening, all the gopis were so happy. See, Krishna is dancing with me. Krishna is dancing with me. And Krishna just left that place. So Krishna does not like pride in any of his devotees. That's one thing that he cannot tolerate. So we have to be very careful of that. So let's wrap it up here. And if there are any questions or any additions, corrections, please go ahead. Yes, Prabhuji. Gokulan Prabhu. Can we pass the mic? Oh, you have it.
Thank you for the class. And since you just now mentioned about false pride, and today's theme also from Nalakovira and Manigroth's pastime, this morning I was listening to the class, and a wonderful point in this particular context I heard. So His Holiness Radhana Swami says, he was speaking about Lord Chaitanya's glories, and he mentioned there is this beautiful song by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Ar Keno Maya Jale. So in that song, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Maya Devi has spread the net of Maya, in which, like a fish, all of us we have been caught. But similarly, Lord Chaitanya has spread the net of his mercy in the form of holy name. He is distributing this net, Krishna Prema, in the form of a net. But only those are not able to get caught up into it, they're spared, who are afflicted by false pride, false prestige. Like, I'm a Brahmin, I am a Muslim, I'm a Christian, I'm rich. Like we read in today's purport, right? The big, what is that? Greyhound dogs, right? I just wanted to share that.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yeah, it's such a nice point that the mercy is all around, but the only thing that's stopping us from getting that mercy is the false pride, the huge mountain of false pride that we have. Is there any way we can break that false pride? It's so strong, and it's been built for years and years. I'm sure one is mercy, of course, mercy of devotees. But how else can we break that false pride? That we have become so, because it's very subtle. Nobody can look at us and say, "Oh, you're puffed up," because we all know the game of humility. I mean, we all know how to show that we are humble. It's very, yes, Prabhu.
I remember when I had joined the ashram, I was not initiated then, and I was still puffed up. Even today I am puffed up, being born in Saraswat Brahmin family. So one day I just happened to see another South Indian Brahmin who had joined the ashram, and he was not wearing the Brahmin thread, and I was still wearing. So then I felt inspired to see, how, he cast away his Brahmin thread. So I just, by following in his footsteps, I also did that. And immediately I could feel one step being taken towards the mercy of the Lord. So my answer is association of devotees. Yes. You feel inspired.
Amazing, yeah.
We've heard that before one can surrender to Krishna, they have to be frustrated with material life. Like the great kings, many of the great devotees in Bhagavatam were fabulously rich kings, like King Chitraketu, King Yayati, King Pariksit, and they all came to the conclusion that becoming wealthy is not, and enjoying sense gratification doesn't satisfy them, even if they have a whole bunch. And we've seen in Mayapur, like here in Dallas, people don't join the temple for money because it's just not there. That's not what happens when you join. But in Mayapur, a lot of people join the Krishna Conscious Society because they come from poverty-stricken backgrounds, and they're hoping that they'll become wealthy by so many different ways. Either they can get a management position and that gives them access to money, or they can get a shop inside the compound, or more than one shop, or the grand prize, a religious worker visa to the West. And it seems like what we've seen is that if somebody's poor, comes from a poverty-stricken background, all they can really think about is wanting to become not poor. And they maybe perform devotional service and perform a lot of sadhana bhakti and be a very hard worker, but it's always, the drive is always to come out of poverty and come into wealth.
That's true.
So how does that being poverty stricken always? It doesn't seem like it's always helpful for Krishna consciousness.
So what I think is that the fact that they actually came into Krishna consciousness was with little bit of faith first, the Adho Shraddha stage, right? We come with little bit of some belief that coming into Krishna consciousness will give me something, right? Even if it's just happiness or, I don't know, wealth, Krishna will fulfill my desire. But starting with little bit faith. But then we get bhajan kriya, we get association, sadhu sangha, association of devotees, and then comes anartha nivritti stage, and then comes the one where eventually comes nishtha. That is the one which comes with intense faith, right? So we can't expect initial stage that we'll all be at a very pure stage. We're still not there. A lot of us are struggling at the anartha nivritti stage, where we are trying to get rid of our unwanted need, the anarthas. That's what we are trying, and I don't know when that we'll pass that stage, but it'll happen at some point. And then comes the stage of nishtha, where in Bhagavatam, where we read all the examples of Pandavas, where they show exemplary devotion and attachment to the Lord. The point of that, you come into a poverty-struck phase is not literally, but the dearmost thing is taken away from you. Maybe I'm not, I am, but I'm saying, let's say somebody who's not attached to wealth, somebody is attached to their family member, or I don't want to say, something. And then Krishna takes that attachment away. So it could be anything, poverty struck in any way, that the thing that you're most attached to, that is taken away, because Krishna wants you to be desperate for him. It's not, that bhajan comes, Uddhav, ye to prem ki baat hai Uddhav, bandagi itni sasti nahi hai, yahan sar deke nahi hote saude, which means that this is about love. This is not cheap talk. This is about love with Krishna. Here you don't offer your head and in business you want something in return with Krishna. This is not how it's done. Like, Krishna, I give you $1,000 and I'm hoping you will get this deal done for me. He's not taking asset money and, doing your job, just fulfilling your desire. But this is real love that we're talking about. And to reach to that stage, lot of things are happening within our heart in this relationship with the Lord, that we eventually come to a point that we only want Krishna. Right now, honestly, is this the only thing we want in our life? Only Krishna Prem? No, there are so many more things. Speaking for myself, there is a list of things. There could be a lot of things. But only Krishna Prem. Until we come to that point that I want only love of God, that stage is reached by, after a long time. And we need a bam, we need a wake-up call. That's why we are thrown in situations of suffering. Last night I had a dream. It's funny, but a monkey was chasing me in my dream, and he just caught my leg, okay? And he was about to bite me, and I suddenly woke up. So you see, to escape the misery, sometimes it happens, right? Like we are in such a miserable situation in a dream, and the only way to escape it is you suddenly wake up. So Krishna, this is what I thought of that point. So thank you for bringing it up. I thought I'll share in the class today, and I forgot about it. I woke up at 11:40, and I was like, oh my God! So Krishna gives us a wake-up call. He throws in miserable situations so that we can wake up and realize that we really want Krishna at the end of the day, because that's the only thing. Other things are all you have them, you don't have them, it doesn't matter. But at the end, we don't wake up until there is a Jeev Jago call, there is a blast. Small things don't really wake our consciousness. So, yeah, I hope I was able to answer, Prabhu. Thank you. I think it's beyond time. I wanted to share one more thing, but it's okay. Next time, maybe. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarabhasya kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.